Man, I just can't believe it. It's the end of July, July 31st. And we made it through the storm, my friends. The storm went by. And that nice, beautiful blue sky today. The sun's just coming up over the horizon. And the ladies, well, they need a little morning service and inspection. So let's get into it, guys, and start looking around. First off, we got prepared for heavy, heavy rain. You know, the weather people say it's going to rain for days. I don't see any rain. One day of rain, I'm cool with that. But let's take a good look at the ladies, see how they're doing. You know, the ladies that found me. This is the first grouping that found me. Second grouping and third grouping are right over there. We'll get to those in a second. You know what? You have to get out to your plants at least once a day. It's like having a puppy. You can't leave them alone. You got to check on them. You should be. Don't expect that you're just going to put some plants out and then walk away and come back a few days later to check on them. They need to be inspected. I do mine twice a day at minimum. You know, I check them in the morning, check them at night. I just can't help myself. But we're going to dive in here and take a look around and see how things are looking. You can see we have a nice lush green up at the top. We're in the early stages of pre-flowering. You can see the morning dew is on the leaf surface. Now I want to point something out to you because this is important to understand. See how there's water droplets there? Yeah, so the droplet itself has tension on it. And we're about to do a foliar feed. We're going to do an early morning foliar feed. And we're going to talk about what I add in there to basically break the water molecule bond. Make water wetter. That's going to be an interesting. So stick with me. If not, come back, watch the video a little bit later. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Turn on the notification bells because we'll be doing this series during the summertime and into the fall. This is Joey D coming to you from the City Grown Studios and the City Grown educational series known as Growing in the City. That's where we started out, growing in the city. So let's check it out, guys. So you can see the pre-flowers are just starting. You see those little white hairs? Those are going into a bract, and if they were to catch pollen, they'd turn into a seed. And then you'd have seeded weed. We're not looking for that. We're looking for sensimilia. That's a Spanish word for without seed. If you didn't know, well, now you know. So you can see the pre-flowers are just starting to begin, and we're gonna need to start ramping up our nutrients. Some changes are coming really fast. If you recall, I talked about the exudates that leak down through the root system to attract the life in the soil. And slowly over the next several weeks, probably about the next 3 weeks, the plant's going to continue to take and keep energy and not give energy. So I'm going to step in and make sure that there's fresh colonies of workers on the job site, I like to say. That just means more microbes, fresh microbes each week. And I'll do that through a product called Recharge. And there's other products that I will be adding in, like P31 microbes. That's a phosphorus solubilizing bacteria. Right now, in the early stages, the plant is going to begin to look for more phosphorus. So the phosphorus helps with the flowering sites inside here. Now this one again, early morning, nice lush green at the tops. Plants are looking good, but I did notice some early signs of deficiencies on one of those plants. We're going to take a look at that in a second. So again, when you do a deep inspection, you're looking for fresh growth, lush growth at the top. This is meaning everything you're doing is on point. Stuff down below could be from the past, but also you'll see indicators of deficiencies as well. Now I wanted to point out something that was really cool. It was, I don't know how long it was now, over a week ago. We went in, let me see if I can get a good angle for you guys. You see that little stump right there? That's it right there. That was a pinch point. So when I pinched it, now look what I have. Because I stopped the upward growth, I have 2 tops instead of a single top. So I've just increased my potential yield. And I say that potential, that's if we make it to the end. That's always the challenge. This is the easy part, guys. We're getting into the difficult part, which is, you know, the fall season that's coming up on us. Prepare for it, products you're going to use. But for this example, you can see that pinch point gave me 2 tops, but also it stalls it enough so that the lateral growth down below starts to make its way up. Let's go look at this section here. Same thing right in here. Let me move this one out of the way. Just push it out with my thumb. All right, let me get in there close for you guys. Let's zoom. There we go. All right, so you can, if you notice, let me try to stabilize the camera view for you guys. Where is she? Come on, get out of the way there. You see that little nub right there? That was the pinch point. And again, it drove out 2 tops right there. 2 tops, baby. 2 is better than 1. You're smart. All right, so now, and also pushing out the lateral growth here. Let me come back a little further here. So by stalling it at the top, I'm going to get a split most of the time, not always, but then the lateral growth starts working its way out. These are going to be nice little flower tops, so these are your buds too. Those little tiny manipulations make a huge difference. And of course, the LST, or low stress training, by pushing out this pole, because I have enough area, enough space, I'm able to do that. Indoors, a whole different game. It's a little bit different indoors, but you can see by pushing this open, you can see all these tops that are starting to develop right now because it has nice light coming down into the inner canopy. When we look at this one over here, let's take a look down over here, back into this one. This one here gets really, really thick and dense into the inside the canopy in here. So if we push this open, so when we get down into this real deep lower section down in here, that's going to be problems in the sense that there's not enough airflow. This is not going to turn into a big flower because it's not getting the airflow. I'm going to get in here. I just haven't had time. And I'm going to clean up all this undergrowth because that is going to be a problem area down the road because not enough airflow going through. So airflow is your friend if you can make it happen, meaning thin out the plant a little bit. But you got to do it strategically. So we'll do a video just on that alone. So we can teach you new growers, like, okay, believe me, it's the hardest part of cutting off pieces of your plant going, wait a minute, that could be a giant bud. Yeah, a moldy bud. It happens because it's so thick and dense in here. So we've got to get in there and clean that lower section out and focus on the top sections up in here. This is where your flowers are going to be. I need more airflow down below, so less chances of mold. Again, that's your big problem here in New England. Some of you folks that are dealing with high humidity areas, some of the audience is blessed with drier areas, which is really nice, but you got to figure out, this is my situation. Welcome to the situation. This is where I am. I've got to deal with it. I've got to use products. These are not the genetics I picked. These are the genetics that found me. They need me to care for them. I'm going to care for them. I give them love energy. They give me love energy back. So energy in equals energy out. That means your time, your focus, you give it attention, it gives you attention. But you have to pay attention. Hey, look at that, pay attention. And paying attention is to looking for any type of problem areas, deficiencies, bugs. I mean, I'm looking at these all the time. So tonight I'll spray them. I'll do an IPM, Integrated Pest Management. I like to call it prevention. So there's a recipe to success when you're growing cannabis. And that recipe is, okay, I'm gonna make sure it has air, got it, water, got it, sunlight, thank God, we got it, yep, okay. Then I need to make sure it has the minerals that it needs to feed on. If I'm growing in soils, I'm managing soils. That means I'm managing the life in the soil, I'm feeding the soil, I'm making sure there's moisture that's proper. Now, because we did get a storm, not much of a storm really, they said it's a storm coming, I wanted to measure how much water my plants were gonna get. And the reason I did that is so that I could understand, do I still need to water? How much did they get? Even though you think they're saturated and soaked. Well, what I did was I took a couple of these rain barrels that I have. These are the ones I just acquired recently. I did a little video short on that one. But this is a 22 gallon, this is a 29 gallon food grade tanks. And I left them both open. This has a little bit wider of a top and a little bit smaller of a top, but kept the covers off so that I could get in here and take a look. Let's see if we can see this. So you can see how much water was actually collected. That's about, I don't know, maybe a gallon, just shy of a gallon. So that means my pots most likely got close to a gallon, maybe a little less, depends on how much passed through the actual leaf material. But I can assume they got, let's go to the high side and say each plant got a gallon of water from the rain. Cool. I'm pretty good shape. Didn't get oversaturated. I made sure the plastic bags had extra poked holes at the bottom in case they did get a heavy rain, and rain for several days that they claimed. They don't know what the hell's going on, but I just have to deal with the punches I'm dealt. All right, so let's do another inspection. As I was looking, this is one of the previous mother plants. This was in the second grouping that found me. This one here, I just recently bent this over. I did an LST, an aggressive LST. So I had an anchor point right here. You can see that. So I anchored to this stake, bent it over and tied it off to this stake. And you can see the curl up is starting here. But the nodes down here that were down below are now going upward. That was my objective. Over the next several days, these will work their way upward. And then those are going to be better tops and better exposure. Now there was another section over here I was just looking at earlier. All right, while I was looking at this plant here, this looks beautiful, but that's a future problem area. You have to think in terms of the future. What's that going to look like in about 8 weeks from now? That is going to be a dense pack pile of bush, and I need to thin that. I need to change the angles. So this pole here, which is anchoring right there, this branch here is not attached to it. So look at this. I thought it was attached, but now it's not. And I'm glad it wasn't, because now I can take and I can move this whole section just like that. That one little move. Check this out. Just by moving this section, it was laying on top of this section. Now this opens this up a little bit better. I can probably do another re-angling and pull this down a little bit more and then turn it into the sun. But by just moving that, now I'm going to need to tie that off. I got to make sure it's not too close to this. I may want to pull this one out further, which I probably will. I'll reset that stake and go much further out. So I will have this section going that way, this going here, and this section going out that way. That's proper planning. And so now I have a better chance of having a decent yield out of it, in the sense of not having a section I got to cut out because of mold, because it's too close, not enough airflow. If you can spread it out, open it up, like this one has got lots of air flowing in it. And it's growing more like what I consider a Christmas tree style. So you got all these branches coming out like this. But these will thicken up. These will become nice buds. So I'll have all these 1, 2, 3, 4 major sections in here. They're going to push out lots of airflow going through. I got that nice stretchy. So I like the look of that. I like that because of the fact, again, later in the season, if you've been through this, you know they're going to thicken up. Now the challenge I might have here is actually how I'm going to structure to hold that. So I may have to figure out another strategy. I may want to have one big long center pole, I'll put 2 6-footers like I did on that one right there. I'll put 2 together and make a center flagpole, if you will, and that way I'll have an anchor point where I can tie off to any of these branches to get too heavy with flower later in the season. Because again, if it gets too heavy during a wet, they're going to bend over and break on me. So be prepared for that. So just proper planning. I did pick up some plant tape. I'll show you a different video on that, because we're going to need to make sure we tie off all of these angles here. These are all break points here. That's the wishbone effect in right here. And several of these plants will have that structure. This one has it a little bit right here. See, there's a wishbone section here. So I'm going to tape this off together like that. That way it won't split. Not that it will, because I have a tie-off point here, so I'm not so worried about that, because I have lots of stakes. So that's the thing you'll be careful of when you're looking at plants. Here's a classic case of it right here. So you see that split right there? If I don't address that later on, as this plant grows, in this bud section right here, as this bud starts to get thick and heavy, I could come out here one day, because if I wasn't paying attention, especially during a rain, when they get really wet and they get heavy, I'll come through and I'll find that split right down here. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to try to fix it, and I'll be panicking. So instead, I'm going to tape this off across from here to here, right across like that. You'll see. And that way I'm ensuring that I'm putting a little bit of protection for the future. Now let's take a look at what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to do a little foliar feeding. And the foliar feeding here is I'm going to use the Floraflex veg foliar. This will probably be the last time I use this veg foliar. Next week I'll pick up the bloom foliar, because what this is going to do is I'm going to feed it at the leaf surface. You can see the ratios this. I'm going to give it a nice kiss of nitrogen. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me put it up here so you can. There you go. Now you can see it. So that's the list of all the goodies, the percentages. And yeah, so I'm going to have some potash, some phosphates in there, and a little bit of molybdenum, boron, and of course the nitrogens. Again, this will be the last one because now we're going into pre-flower. So as we're starting pre-flower next week, they're just showing, some of them are showing early signs, some haven't yet, but I'd say over the next week or so, these will all start showing more and more signs of the pre-flowering, the sexing and stuff like that. And I would say by mid-August, so 2 weeks from now, today's the 31st of July, they really start to accelerate. So I need to get more phosphorus, right? So when we look at the numbers on our bags or any of our nutrients, we look at the NPK numbers. I'm going to be looking to add more phosphorus because they use the phosphorus for the flowering sites. And phosphorus is one of the hardest elements for the plant to break down and make available. So that's why we'll add in some P31 microbes by Cleantech, and it's just an amazing product. So if you want your terpenes to go freaking through the roof, it is the secret sauce. And I'm telling you now, if you're a grower that's looking for an edge, you're looking for something to get you that wild terpene expression. And we've seen it. We did it scientifically. We did the side-by-side testing. You'll see that if you go further back in some, I think it was 2 years ago, I did a interview with Ed Groen and Dr. Lynn, and I was convincing my buddy Ed. I said, "Ed, you got to use this. They're loud." And he goes, "I can't go on bro science, man. It's got to be scientific." And I'm like, "Shit, I don't have the scientific. I mean, I know I've got the scientist. Dr. Lynn is an incredible, amazing microbiologist. I mean, she knows microbes, right? And if she was able to harvest microbes off the roots of a cannabis plant and culture it and then make it available it's a high phosphorus solubilizing bacteria blend of colonies. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. You can use it in all the substrates. Now, one of the other products that she does have is called SI28, which is a silic acid. All right, so this is the silic acid. So this is going to help with the cellular structure of the plant, help the plant feed more. So I drench feed, but you can also foliar feed. Yeah, it's a thing, man, foliar. Who knew you could feed your plant from the leaf surface and from underneath, which is where the stomatas reside, which is the pores that regulate the plant, helps it breathe. So right now the sun's just starting to come up, and over the next 2 hours the plants will begin to wake up, and what will happen is they'll start to drink. They'll start to draw up transpiration. That means through the root zone, they'll start to pull up the moisture along with the nutrients that are available from the microbes down there, and it'll go up through the leaf